Thing you a tackle, you better have money or pray for a miracle. Can't buy champagne, grab a full truckle and stop throw up it and in a Hennessy buckle. More money, more problem.
That no go free. Two we spend it, them a see. Yeah, we grow the tree. Two we lock them out, them say yeah, we have the key.
Me response for the gal, them so let them in free.
From the dance floor go to the VIP. Anyway you see we pure hot gal a fi follow we. Take when miss goody from gal a pee.
Make them gal a fee. Ready for any gal we a free. This is how the this is how we do it. This is how the cry. We don't want to show you like them free.
We ain't gonna live on rice and let's call them. Government, we have this to hacks you.
Poor people are suffer, look like them not see the money done in our bills, we not none fees.
So what this we are hacks them. We want the fox them, and with the money gone, when we use pay the tax them.
City gone up, so nothing but cheap now. People all on a motor rubbish.
You know see hungry a box them, so we are hacks them, and with the money gone, when we use pay the tax them.
Place the on fire.
Emergency, but the fire brigade now no urgency.
Yo, them fi move faster. Hear me no master. How chuck a drive out and have in no water.
Me want to who the blame or who are the culprit. If your knees sprain and you walk over public,
you could end up in one of the years them. Because the government not pay the nurse them.
One more police patrol cause the crime rate high.
Officer them a face it, me know them a try.
Well, you can't blame the police them when them barely have gas in the jeep them.
So me say people that suffer look like them not see the money done in our bills we not nothing feed.
Well, at this we a ox them. We want the fox them and where the money gone, when we just pay the tax them.
The city gone up so nothing no cheap. Now people all on a motor rubbish cheaper.
Hungry a box them, so me a ox them and where the money gone, when we just pay the tax them.
Me a go country for the weekend. The first drive me drive out me rim them then.
I know who no fix the patrol them. Toll road no come cause we pay the toll them.
Killer, another thing when me have to mention. Tell me what to me granny pension.
How long she a work a post office and the pension?
Happy Hump Day! Happy Wednesday! Welcome to Community Voices, where like-minded people come together to share common goals and interests. I am your girl, MomoLove, and over there is DJ Firebone. We are back together again. How are you, DJ Firebone?
I'm good. I'm good.
Are you here? Are you here? Are you here?
I'm here. What up, community?
I am so happy, community, that we are all here together. I hope you have downloaded the free Ablazin Radio Pro app. It is free and it is for me. It is for iPhone and Android users. That means it's compatible for each and every single one of you, and you can take us every single place you go. Also, listen live on the website, www.ablazinradio.com. It is where entertainment lives, and I hope you guys give us a call tonight at 240-949-2289. Bones, how have you been holding up in this pandemic?
I'm keeping the same.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You been doing all the right things?
Yeah. I'm on the front line saving the world, man.
All right, we appreciate that. Oh, you get up and go to work? Good for you. We appreciate that. Well, I want to remind everybody, because it is our duty too. Make sure you do the 5 things, the top 5 things. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Often. Okay? Wash your hands often. As well as cough or sneeze into your elbow. All right? If you ever think about it, if you sneeze, all that phlegm and spit, comes all out your mouth. So, put it right there in the crook of your elbow, and that will save a lot of lives. Listen, try not to touch your face. I have a bad habit of that, Bones. I have a very bad habit of touching my face. I know everything is there, but I just want to touch my face. So be careful about doing those things. Also, stay more than 3 to 6 feet apart. I made sure I tested it when we came in. We were 3 to 6 feet apart. And listen, if you are feeling sick, stay home. It is one of the most important things that you can do. I also say, wash your surfaces often. Especially if you go out and you come back in, you're bringing bags in, you're putting bags on your counter, you might sit your coat down or whatever the case may be. Wipe your counters up. I think that's another way that you can kind of help in fighting this pandemic.
Don't fight the water.
don't fight the water. The water is good for you. And I also say wear gloves. There has been some reports to say not wear gloves. I say if you're going to go out, I think you should wear gloves. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it because you're touching other surfaces. And I mean, we've been seeing these videos of people licking surfaces. And at first they were saying, I think it is still rings true that it kind of stays on the metal surfaces. So make sure you wipe the surfaces and wash your hands, wear gloves. Do whatever it is that you can do for your part in order to control this pandemic. It is serious, it is real, and as they say, things are going to get worse before they get better. And I think on all levels, on an economic level, on a relationship level, on a patience level, and I think if we just band together and do everything that we possibly can to take this time to do some things that you haven't done before, learn a new craft or fix some things, do some early spring cleaning. I mean, there's so many things that can be done. I saw a video earlier today. There are some Jamaicans that live in Wuhan, China, where the epidemic started, and they were giving just family tips on how they're, banding together and playing games and praying together. And I'm sure that they're taking their time to have their own sanity in their own spaces together. So whatever it is that you have to do, community, make sure you do that, as well as check on your single friends, okay? Your single, non-having kid friends. They need you during these times, so check on them, as well as the elderly. They say that if your elders are in a nursing home or assisted living or anything like that, to give them a call. Now, I know some of my community is not having that because they're going to go see their grandma. But please make sure that you are safe and respect what the authorities are saying, as well as each other. Check on each other, period. We need each other, and so check on each other. And so keep it locked right here to Ablazin Radio, especially Community Voices, which you can hear us every Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Here we're going to have a different little controversial topic tonight. We're going to talk about colorism. Light versus dark. It doesn't really still exist. And we're going to talk with Shannon Anderson. She wants to help us change the trajectory on our thinking. Right here on Community Voices on Ablazin Radio, it is where entertainment lives.
The money, the fame, no mean nothing to me. If you are free when I'm a bird, then you want to bring me.
Done them already. Get back to the money. All them a preach and preach. Over they go beat and teach. Them a jive by and all know them can't reach. Go and back up here.
Big up yourself, Frederick Asante, for my Team Enlightenment shirt, straight from Ghana,
Over they
Africa.
go beat and teach. Man jive with the fire tick on the car seat. Boy mouth full of concrete. So police side fight for years, them don't see them. Boy that could the last 1 week. The family's mad, they have to weep. See them some see, beat and teach.
Queen Kiki, big up
So
yourself.
beat and teach, beat and teach, beat and teach. Cassava please beat and teach, beat and teach, beat and teach, beat and teach.
Hey,
Make
Eartha.
everybody see, just figure beat and teach. We not put boy in them place to take them out of that. Them not
Check us out right now on ablazinradio.com. It is where entertainment lives. Download the free app, I say.
your son just got carried on and made the rest of them so every day they rest.
We back, y'all. We back.
And left them featherless, sister left brotherless.
Firebone 592 sound.
Water and an pot water. From them this them get the same time not after. What do that knock off ya? You see I must the earth them want to pop. Them do a war. Them think it over. Them skin run left, them bone fit over. The first 24 hours them a fraud like soda. You see say them a pay for soda. Beat and teach. 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 Beat and teach, beat and teach, beat and teach.
I know you need me too. From the first time I see you, me send a man to you. You send back to me, I send just shy through me. See you plus the lady to your right look like she woulda fight for your long hair, bow legs in her east, but she pretty in her eye. And your body shape so good look like a hourglass. Regular, but none of them none the inner your class. And you not worry about not test because you have to pass. You are my lady, my baby. You are my lady, my baby. Just wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body. You can take over your brain, you get mad now. So turn round, make you clap now. Girl, you're sexy with the wine, you a tease me. So me know when me bring you home, you a go play.
It's Community Voices.
See and all a bill now. Have your house, but you a chillin' and a villa now. Make your ex know me a ring ding, you know. And me not go cheap because this.
Happy Hump Day, everybody.
Anytime we flex, me I rate it as the best one. And it make me want married, give me a left hand. Nobody worry about that thing, me have the best plan. You deserve the world and more, not less than.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, we are on tonight. Yes.
You are my lady, my baby. Just wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. You want me wife, you want me baby. Me backbone, you want me kidney. I mean, no one, no other lady. Are you me wanting in my life, you drive me crazy. Hey, never spoil it cause you're good to me, you're loyal. So just wine for the general, the marshal. Girl, your body, just a mad me. And the signal where you do, they just a...
Let's go.
Love it, say you're bad, but in a good way. And prefer you over any girl, any day. Can't study you more time, is hard clear. But me no care, me love you anyway.
Y'all, we going commercial free tonight.
Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl. Wind up your body, wind up.
Let's go.
Wind up your body, wind up your body, girl.
Big up DJ Ablaze in the building.
Kiss your pretty face like a baby just wants so your face
Kim Righteous, big up yourself. It's Wednesday, y'all. We back together again.
Tight, never feel stretched. Goody, right type, goody, bless. New king and I'm a life deck, shuffle up. Body full of grip and worse muscle up. Want it. Now ask if I want it. You talk to me, call it. Want it and I'm
Make sure y'all download the free Ablazin Radio Pro app. It is for iPhone and Android users. That means it is for you. You can take us everywhere you go.
Dude, don't stop rush. Dig it, nada, kana, rest your long banana, mama, mama, show me, the wind blood. 3-5-4 for my body can done. Want it. Now ask if you want it, you talk to me, call it.
Oh, Bones trying to have a COVID-19 release party, huh? I feel it.
Let's get it.
Don't get deep, that tough. Fat stuff, I got enough. Take your time, no do, don't stop rush. Get it tight, never feel stretched. Put it good and right side, put it good and blessed.
Pick up yourself, community. I see you checking in, and thank you.
No play those games round here, so better keep your mouth locked, boy. No repeat what you hear about. No repeat what you hear about, boy. We no play around here, so we ain't when them straight round here, so a brawling middle dear boy, and we no care about lock up.
Pick up yourself, Santana Salazar.
Move from your idiot boy, you chat too many, me call the browning for the belly. Oh, tell him say we locks drop with the food selling. Boss boy mad like full moon catching. Remember say man put can in a soup regin. No fear boy with a yan mouth boot stepping. We come from where the darkest show to live. We learn fi no giant lows chatting. Out don't stay around here so we no play those games round here so better keep your mouth locked boy. No repeat what you hear about. No repeat what you hear about boy. We no play around here so we ain't when them straight round here so she heard darling me she boy.
Actually,
but can't defend themselves and defend them man.
Girl, you not see no one bag of talking after you no go see clock. Girl, I should go for your man, a girl, they must see frost. When you go fit, girl, you no go fit off. No chat like no fi face you up. But you get mad the instant the war go kick off. The mate bring the war, you dirty water no kick off. Our life is like a utility service, you will shut it off. The broke man pack it down. Actually, no man can call you skits or sticky jiggy like him. You know I can borrow and beggy like him. You no swallow in a belly, no dash a belly like him. No baby, I follow them from your pay. Some of your property a wine can know you. I bite every night, I spit out and a chew. And the lie, the things I wrote you but some of them yell I do. If they brand with you, girl, you know in no one bag of talking after you no go see clock. Girl, I should go for your man, a girl, they must see frost. When you go fit, girl, you no go fit off. No chat like no fi face you up. Mad you get mad the instant you are go kick off. The mate bring the war, you dirty water no kick off. Our life is like a utility service, you will shut it off. The broke man pack it on. What this? I thought a girl a try to free your man. If you never pick him up, she woulda never see your man. I be a trial and crosses, she want give your man. Them envy you because the past is your man. You never ask for the ring, the house, the jar and the land. This little dirty criddle come a ask him to grab one like she know say you a talk for your man. If they grab with you, girl, you know see no one bag of talking after you no go see class. Girl, you should go for your man, the girl, they must see cross. When they go fit, girl, you no go fit off. No chat like no fit.
Y'all are send text, say them want flex including Zero Friday, Durex, make y'all press vex Antoinette, tell me say she want her next. She rate me so much I won't fight on X. Yo, them want to roll it man, them not care a walk. Y'all from me area and y'all from Montpellier. Skin catch a fire when them see me on the telly. Y'all a call my phone and say them want me secret admire. Click my finger, girl on the roll with me, yeah. Say them on the stroll with me, girl from all over the world in the West Indies, yeah. Say them fall in love with me, I'ma click my finger, girl on the roll with me, yeah. Say them on the stroll with me, girl from all over the world in the West Indies, yeah. Say them fall in love with me, all I fight through them want be the closest to me. Video like girl at close make me see. She know me now go stand up and pose make me see. Cause was with girl from London and Birmingham. Say them want me, fat them up, give them a early one. Girl from USA, Japan and Switzerland. Girl ask me how me sticks along. Representing, click my finger, girl on the roll with me, yeah. Say them on the stroll with me, girl from all over the world in the West Indies, yeah. Say them fall in love with me, I'ma click my finger, girl on the roll with me, yeah. Say them on the stroll with me, girl from all over the world in the.
This man from 90s, Machiavelli make you know what a hollow pint is. Boy, never mind him, but more than. Smears you up to the time, them know see a Vibes Cartel representing at the anthem, not the national. I will deal with the rational. This man from 90s, Machiavelli make you know what a hollow pint is. Boy, never mind him, but more than business. Rev out your life like 7 series. Dancer we shot you, fi tell him where the weed is. New locks gun spit bullet like Wrigley's. Gonna AK sing like Leroy Sibbles. What? This man from 50s and 40s. Them man they bring rifle go to the parties. Bed-Stuy now walk with no feds guy. Bust it in a face till it look like when eggs fry. This fan the fear body fine with the next tie. Tongue chew your throat, yeah. Columbia necktie. 221st, put men in the earth. What? Shoot up your turf, put the Benz in reverse. If you're off round church, the desert eagle perch. If you run under your move, I hope then we gonna search. We gon' dig a Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Real bad man, they are Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Life get took in Brooklyn. BK, AK, HK, SK, okay. We gon' dig a Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Real bad man, they are Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Life get took in Brooklyn. BK, HK, SK, okay. Hey. See where you come from, this St. Mark's and Nastan. Your head a bust like Jaspan. President Union have 30 AK with new gun. One shot bust kill two man. Try and Lincoln make shot kick boy like Freddy. This man from 90s Machiavelli make you know what a hollow pint is. So never mind him on business. You put your life like super series. Dance and we shot you for anybody need this. You not some speak with it like this.
She looking fly, yeah, she looking at the boys looking like money right from my head down to my feet. She did smile at me, I don't really know what it means. See, I'm in a bit of a limbo, but still I will make a move on this young lady. Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Me, I wanna call you, see, I want your number, girl. Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number? I wanna call it 656 54 7853. Ring, see, I'm already dialing, baby. Hello, 656 54 7853. Ring, see, I'm already dialing, baby.
Can I get your number? Wanna pick you up? We're gonna get so hard, yeah. You are so dear farmers, 1 plus 9, never mind as you gon' rob. We can walk, let it go strong. Take a trip, never coast now. So can you better know now? A little way you make your body move, baby. So pretty the things you do, baby. The things I would do for you, baby. Phone call, I'm coming down, baby.
Get your number, girl. Get your number, girl. Get your number, girl. See, I wanna call you. See, I want
girl, let me kiss your pretty face off. Like a lady just bounce on your face off. Sorry from across the floor, it's like a dancer. Who really need my eyes, I got to take my shades off. Fear me no more, just see me touching on the summer when they remember. And I say DJ was on the November. Put your friend Brenda, keep her the vendor. I'm the love sender, no contender. Keep her the thing where I like fire. Makes you know I'm the king, she can't remember. When lads you get it up, you turn and twist. When lads you get it so hot like furnace.
So hot, giving fee. Girl, selling yam the like Peter. For me, at the ting with the gang one. Clean look, pretty speak patois. Big pretty boom flick on a gangster. Turn any blood man in a gangster.
Got my girl with me, got my girl with me tonight. And tonight we gon' party like it's 1999. Yeah, we gon' bring love back to the club. We gon' bring love to the club. Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night. Oh, what a night.
I'm the one that you bring home to mama. Now let me tell you this real quick. If these girls ain't for you, this chick is for you. I'll do anything for you. Tell me what you want, I'm the one that's gonna ride. For a real one. All night, all night. Got my man with me tonight. And tonight we gonna party like it's 1999. Yeah. And we gon' bring love back to the club.
There's nothing you can bring.
All right. Welcome back. It is Community Voices with MomoLove alongside DJ Firebone, and I thank you so much,
What up,
Bones,
community?
for all of that. It feels like, I don't like when we're not together. It feels like a long time. You know what I mean?
man.
So I'm so glad to see you back and all is well with
glad to
you
be
and the
back.
family.
Missed you last week.
I
Missed
know.
the community last week.
Yeah, they missed you too. I tried to hold it down doing my
love is real.
DJing, but
did all right.
we made it do what it do. We made it do what it do. It's nothing like 592 sound. I want to remind you guys to download the free Ablazin Radio Pro app. It's for iPhone and Android users, and you can take us any and every single place that you go, as well as listen to us live on the website, www.ablazinradio.com. It's going to be an amazing conversation tonight. So if you would like to, please call the number right here below, 240-949-2289. That's 240-949-2289. Guys, I just want to remind you, do the 5 to remind you about the COVID-19. We're not going to hammer in all of the details because I know that you've been CNN and C-SPAN and MSNBC and Black Atlanta Star and getting your information wherever you deem as a credible source. Please also include the CDC as well as the World Health Organization because they are the premier leader of guidelines that we should be following. One is washing our hands as often as possible. Every time you go out, they have not said we cannot go out, but limit yourself going out. Self-quarantine with your family. There's so many things that we could be doing right now. All of you that's working on your vision boards, that wanted to always fix something, wanted to repair something, wanted to build something, wanted to learn something, wanted to read that book. This is the time to do it, to have some self-reflection, to continue your daily affirmations. This is the time to do those things, as well as making sure that you cough or sneeze into your elbow. You can save a lot of germation, being put out into the air. All right. So make sure you do that as often as you possibly can. If you just so happen to cough or sneeze into your hands, immediately wash them or use hand sanitizer and wash your hands as soon as possible. Okay. Remember, do the happy birthday song, count to 20, count to 40. Wash your hands twice, and you can use any kind of soap, a bacterial soap, Dove soap, Caress, whatever is good, feels good to you, as long as the water is hot and you lather it up real good. Try not to touch your face. I say this to myself constantly because I am a face toucher, so I try not to do it as often as possible. All right, especially right now during this time. Stay 3 to 6 feet away from each other. All right, that's called social distancing. It bothers me because I'm a hugger, you know what I mean? But I have to respect what the authorities are saying and do so I can protect myself and my family, as well as my loved ones, my friends that I come in contact with. So also, if you're feeling sick, stay home. Stay away from people. And feeling sick outside the normal, if you're coughing more than normal, if you're sneezing more than normal, because remember, we're getting ready to get into the cold and flu season, or the hay fever season. So whatever it is that you have to do to keep yourself safe, your family safe, make sure you do that, community, because I want to see you again. We got an update. I was letting you guys know about visiting the elderly, as well as your single friends, checking on people. The authorities are saying don't visit the elderly. All right, you can't do that right now. I know it's a hard time for those of us melanated people because we want to see our grandparents and our great grandparents and make sure that they're okay. But right now we have to heed what they are saying. Call, check on them. They will give you the updates. All right, but don't just go up there and possibly infect your loved ones. We definitely don't want to do that. So as promised tonight, let me tell you, we have a great conversation that's getting ready to happen. All right. And I want you guys to keep it locked. Make sure you download the app. Keep it locked right here. We are going to speak with none other than author. She is a mom. She is a researcher, social researcher of justice and all things melanated people, if you will. I want to welcome Miss Shannon Anderson to Community Voices. Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to come out tonight and talk about this serious topic in our community.
Of course. It's a needed conversation.
Yeah. So how did you get interested in colorism, if you will?
Well, I think mostly from my upbringing, I've been aware of it as a child. Through my family upbringing, being raised by a very fair-skinned mother, and my two brothers are fair-skinned, and I was always the brown one. And it wasn't really my family that made a big deal. It was everybody else, always making a comment about it. Do you have the same dad? Or, there are different things, always making a point. However, over the years, I've, heard of a lot of people and children still really in pain from some of the treatment or some of the biases that come from lack of being treated well because of skin color. And so I decided to, I'm actually working on my doctorate, and I was really trying to find a topic in education that was near and dear to my heart. And I always say you find something that you don't get bored about talking about. And this is what it was. And I was a teacher for years. I've been a principal, assistant principal, director. And so it was one thing that's always come up from comments about students to each other, around peer groups. And so...
so what exactly is colorism?
So colorism is basically thinking that lighter skin is a privilege over darker skin. Okay. Yeah. So it is basically light skin being more of a privilege over dark skin and all the biases that might come with it. Mm-hmm. So, and the preferential treatment or the treatment of dark skin people being not as privileged. And so it came about that there's different layers of colorism.
Yeah, so let me stick it right there because that's heavy, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't think that people think that there is still an issue of colorism. Mm-hmm. And I think, in order to get to the root of any problem, you have to go down to the bottom. You got to find out some stuff. You got to uncover some stuff. Mm-hmm. And we don't like to talk about it because we have come so far. Mm-hmm. But do you believe or have the thought that the Willie Lynch or slavery has a part in that? Do you believe that there was actually a field and house, there was a separation of light and dark? And
absolutely. And it was intentional, I believe. So even before then, there was a hierarchy based on skin color. So if you think about Egyptians and who worked outside, and naturally, if you work outside, if you were the people, the workers, you were darker, and then you had the people running everything, basically. And so it was a class thing. So it was more so classism, in ancient times.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, classism, and classism is still in effect today as well.
Definitely.
So classism and colorism kind of go hand in hand.
It can. It can. However, classism is more just about that socioeconomics.
Okay. The more well-to-do.
Exactly.
Money.
It's about money, basically. And so colorism is about skin color. It's about phenotypes, your features. And it's the thought that anything closer to European standards of beauty is better. So basically,
your who standard?
European.
Okay.
European standards of beauty.
Okay.
Yes. So that is the thought. And so when we talk about slavery time, when it was, you know, the offspring of the slave masters were able to go in the house and work, and then basically pitting them against their family members that were still outside, only because there were more, you know, you worked inside, less labor, right? And they were given more privileges. So a lot of them were taught how to read and write. During the antebellum period, they were allowed to have, some had land, some own their own slaves, you know. Some were able to be entrepreneurs. They were able to go to school. And so that built an even bigger divide between what we call the mixed race and our brothers and sisters who were never mixed.
So then the infiltration starts and it permeates through families because now it's ingrained in us that a fairer skin receives better treatment than a darker skin, which basically we're all black when you talk about pigmentation.
Right.
And if we can go right there for a second, pigmentation is basically the color, how much melanin is actually in your skin. So, of course, if you are of the darker color, you have more pigmentation if you're in the lighter hue.
Exactly.
Of course, right?
Exactly.
So this is now being integrated and infiltrated into us almost as learned behavior.
Ingrained.
Like light is right, you know, get back if you're black, if you will.
Brown,
so
stick
now,
around.
if you're brown, stick around. So now it's a family generational thing.
Exactly, and it's endemic. So, which means it's so built into our psyche and our belief system that it's hard to pull out. So I have like 7 what I call our sphere, and there's 7 influences, and I call historical influence, our educational influence, our societal influence, our economic influence, family, media, and peer, and all those kind of get into how we internalize things.
Yeah.
So you take a little child that is being impacted by all those influences, growing up, seeing things in the media, how we're portrayed in media, the difference. And when I say that, I'm saying like the love interest is usually who?
Yeah, a fair skin.
Okay.
But let's talk about family for a second, because the generational effects we see, right? Little girls and boys are, like you said, you grew up with 2 fair-skinned brothers, and so even within your house or outside of your house, you hear these things. Oh, well, what you doing here? Why you so light? Why you so dark? What color are you? Why don't you look like us? What does that begin to do? Because even though when you go to school as a young child, you hear those mean girls.
Right.
You hear those boys saying different things. You know, when you take pictures, man, you got to smile so we can make sure you there.
Yeah, stuff like that. And that gets perpetuated sometimes in homes and out of homes. Now, I would say in my case, I didn't hear a lot of that inside the house.
Okay.
It was a lot of people around us that would always bring it up.
Okay.
Always make a point to bring up the difference, you
That
know,
you were
and made it a big deal, you know, and I'm like, wow, we don't really talk about it inside the house, so why are you so concerned about it, you know? And so, but I was raised in Southern Virginia, Hampton, Virginia. I was military brat, so we traveled around a lot.
Okay.
So, but that's where I got most of it from is in, you know, when I lived in Virginia. And so, but yes, it can be, I mean, I have friends that talk about grandma saying, oh, she, you know, keep that girl out the sun, that kind of thing, or, you know, or stay under the tree, you know, and how they may have had more, catered to the lighter skinned grandchild. And so I hear stories about to this day of how they were treated, you know, and I mean, and it's not just, I mean, there's also colorism the other way too, you know, some biases that we kind of perpetuate of like especially for light-skinned men, they're saying that they're soft and stuff like that. So that comes up a lot.
And you would expect grandmothers and grandparents, especially of a certain age, to speak of, oh, that little light-skinned cute baby over there. You know, you would expect that because they are not that far removed from, you know, what our ancestors went through in slavery. So the rhetoric still goes on, like you say, it's ingrained, and it takes a while to get out because it seems like it never ends. Like you say, when you start going to school and how the children start to treat one another. And I want to get into that. If you are just joining Community Voices with MomoLove alongside DJ Firebone, we are speaking with Shannon Anderson. She is here to help us change our trajectory on colorism. She is a critical race and social justice researcher, author, and educator. Getting into when kids are in school. You know, can you see the differences right away? Or do kids just come and play with each other? They don't really. When do you start seeing the differences in the treatment of color?
So you may not see it right away. It's, you know, kids don't always separate themselves because of that.
Okay.
But children start internalizing it very early on. And then, you know, like we've seen the doll test, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen that doll test where, you know, even little black kids choose the white doll over the black doll, and they've done it with
the little test where the white kids and the black kids, and they get a doll, a black one or a white one, and they always, whether they're white or black, they tend to go for the white doll because that one is prettier. And then the words underneath the cards, ugly or bad, is always under the dark.
Exactly. And so with the standard of beauty also are all these other attributes that we put to skin color, right? So it is people who and I'm going to talk about more so white. Okay. So white, people tend to say that they're smarter, right? That they're friendlier, that they are hard workers, and all those positive attributes that come to a Caucasian person, right? And then you have a black person, and all it's savage, you know, even though we kind of flip that to, you know, be positive, but, you know, a threat, right? A threat, not intelligent, lazy, all those negative attributes, right? And so let's go into colorism now. The closer a person is to that, those attributes kind of to the European standard, those attributes tend to go
so
with
when a
that.
person's behavior coincides or is synonymous with the adjective, it just perpetuates the thought.
It can, yes.
As well as so it sounds as if like they've heard these negative words, we've heard these negative words, and so we act accordingly.
So that's called stereotype threat. And so stereotype threat is when we start perpetuating, because you know, they think it anyway, so I might as well be it, you know. And it's not that it's conscious. It's a subconscious kind of thing. Yeah. And so that's called, and it happens to a lot of
they think this about us, so we might as well act like this anyway.
And I don't think it's a conscious thing that I'm going to act this way. It is, they internalize the behavior to the look or something like that. But there is research that shows that in school settings, that when there is the same infraction from a lighter skinned child to a dark skinned child, the lighter skinned child gets a less of a
how can those studies be determined, or is this mothers just feeling that way? How are these studies determined?
So this research has been done over the years and by different people, and they look at who's being suspended and expelled, and they compare it. And they create the data from that. And so the same thing, so they'll look at complexion. Now, I will say complexion can be very subjective to some. So, and there is a scale they use, a skin color kind of scale that they kind of use, and it kind of shows where you stop being like light to brown to dark. Okay.
Who uses this?
Some of the researchers do.
Yeah,
some of the researchers do. So what they do is they look and see, okay, for the same infraction, what did the darker skinned child get, and what did the lighter skinned child? And in most cases, the lighter skinned child got a lighter consequence. So
interesting.
Yes. So their suspension was lighter, or their expulsion was, expulsion is 365 years regardless. Also, as in your policing, if we're thought of as a threat because our features are further away from the European standards, the policing, like we thought of as a threat, right? So the same thing goes for what the research has found in sentences. The same thing applies where if you're sitting in front of a jury and you have more of a friendly looking, and I don't know if y'all anybody can
quote
say
unquote,
I'm doing a quote, a friendlier looking face, your sentence is going to be less. But if you have more of a threat looking, if you look more like a threat or what people perceive as a threat, you can get a higher sentence.
So the bias is if you're dark and mean looking, you're automatically bad.
Yes, but dark and with more of a Negroidian features and what they consider more Afrocentric look.
These are researchers.
Those researchers are saying
Through
that because
studies.
they studied the data and they've looked at features of different people. So yes,
and different statistics throughout the country that says this is where the bias comes from,
right,
as well as learned behavior. It's a lot into it because what really hurts me, I think, is that it's not. It is a great deal about what other people think because we don't want them to think certain ways about us, which limits our capabilities, right? Because as we were saying in education, there are some teachers that are biased based on how they were brought up.
Most
and
definitely.
We don't have a lot of African American teachers that are teaching our children. That's going to be another show.
Yep.
But we know that there are some teachers who have biases against some of our children. I really just want to talk more about how we feel about ourselves and our children, because it is true that there are some children, some parents who behave a certain way, which kind of infects their children to behave a certain way that may not even have anything to do with the color of their skin. It's just their bad behavior. However, there is this bias that this little boy who happens to be dark skinned is acting up. So him and people like little kids like him that look like him are going to be a problem. How do we eradicate that?
So I think it really is instilling the love in our children from early on about that they are beautiful, no matter what type of features they have.
Validating our children.
Validating them on an ongoing basis, overdoing it. I mean, of course, we want to make sure they believe us and never,
just don't be saying stuff.
Right, exactly. But their kinky hair is beautiful. Their full lips, their, nose, everything is, and really instilling that pride, because they're going to have enough issues when they walk outside that door, right? And so people are going to judge them regardless, about something. Yeah. So your house has to be a safe haven where you're building up that pride in self when they're young. Yeah. And so when they walk outside that door, that nothing anybody else says is they're gonna take in, and they're not going to internalize it, because we have instilled such pride in our children and belief that they are the one, and nobody can take that away, no matter how they look, and they're not comparing themselves because they see it on the media. They're going to see it, and a lot of things that we see every day, those implicit biases, those things, filtering into the psyche. But they have to find a way to, if they start thinking that way, to change that thought. And we have to start, when we start thinking that way about certain things, to check it. It's called mental models. Check our mental models. Checking about what you are thinking and why you're thinking that way. I had a conversation with my line sister this morning. What's up, Winnie Cherry? And she and we would talk about that. Sometimes these biases do seep in, and we have to turn it around.
I mean, we all have them. I think we all have them.
And it could be, when I posted something on social media, and there was a group that, and I'm not going to even give them, there's a group that went in on me saying light skin don't have privilege, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, hold up, I'm not trying to do a dark skin versus light skin. I'm just trying to educate all of us in the community about it, so there's not this separation.
But do you think that there has to be a discussion about light skin versus dark skin? Because I think both sides feel the pain.
That's what that's the point I was trying to make.
And it's so funny because when we were in the lobby, before the show, we're all having a conversation, and we're talking about what the topic of the show is tonight, and somebody says, "Oh, but you know those light-skinned women are, you know, they are killers, right?" And so it's like,
Trouble.
Huh?
They're trouble.
Trouble. They're trouble. Yeah, the light-skinned women are trouble.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm thinking, see, there it is right there. Not mean-spirited, you know, to some degree truth, I guess, for that
them.
particular
Exactly,
person.
yes.
But I think I agree with you. I think we need to remove that light dark label, because some of us women can just be trouble, period, right?
Exactly. No matter what hue you are.
Dark-skinned women are trouble too.
No matter what hue you are, just what you get, right?
A woman, period.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's another story.
Right.
That's another subject.
Exactly.
But if you are just joining Community Voices with MomoLove alongside DJ Firebone, we are speaking here with author, educator, and critical race and social justice researcher, Miss Shannon Anderson. We are trying to change the trajectory of colorism and how we think about one another. I just want to go into society beliefs. You know, again, we start as babies. Is that me? We start as babies, you know, kind of having this ingrained learned behavior that we don't even realize that's there, right? And we get into middle school, we get into high school, and we have these biases like all the cute girls are on the cheerleading team, and all the handsome guys are jocks or whatever like that. But then what we're all going round and round with these thoughts and beliefs. How do we build relationships with these biases that we may have for one another?
You know, I think in social circles, people hang because of those things. Like, oh, I'm going to hang with the cute girls because I think I'm cute, that kind of thing, or vice versa, or whatever. Or I'm going to hang with a different group because they look more like me. And when I worked in high school not too long ago, I did hear some things like that amongst the girls. And I even had like one girl say, why are you dating him? He's too black, that kind of thing. And you know, and I had to talk to the girl, like, you date who you want to date. You don't listen to what the other girls say. You know, things like that. And so, you know,
so it is still going on today. Oh my
gosh, yes, it is. It's still going on. And you know, you think about it. A lot of times, you know, when a mother has a little baby, what's the first thing they do? Look at the fingertips to see.
I don't know that.
I don't know if that's the first thing. They might count the hands.
It is one of the things. If you're going to be honest, it is one of the things that you look at their fingernail beds and their ears to see, oh, they're going to be a cute little chocolate baby. Oh, they're going to be a little chocolate baby.
Oh, they're yelling like their mama.
I got something to add about the high school thing.
What?
I also think it's like a maturity and mental thing, because at one point for me, and this was probably high school and middle school, I would date light-skinned girls, but as I got older, the darker you are, the more attracted I became to you. And the light skin thing just kind of, it was like a phase to me.
It was a fad.
So then this is how you get a chance to get some of this socialness, right? My question to you, Bones, though, is was your grandmother of the fairer skin, or did you just think that light was better?
My grandparents looked like me. I think it was a mental thing, and it was just like,
a mental thing?
Yeah.
Wait, let's unpack that.
It was a mental thing.
Why?
And at one point, it was more like, you know, the lighter they are, the more attractive they are.
Okay, there we go. See?
So it was all about the mental thing. But me personally, after a while, it was like, outside of dark-skinned women, I think the only girlfriend I had that wasn't dark-skinned, or I actually be like, yo, I would marry you, she was Korean. So I think it's about a mental thing. It's because the older I got, it was like, you know what, the skin thing kind of go out the window. You know, it's more about maturity and how they see me versus how I see myself.
And I definitely believe that is a maturity thing, but there is a threat between men and women when it comes to colorism.
What do you mean by threat?
A threat between, maybe sometimes the security is not there. due to the perception or the bias of a light skinned versus a dark skinned woman, or light skinned versus a dark skinned man. Maybe some women don't feel like a lighter man could protect them. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed sometimes where if a lighter skinned woman was bullied or something, and she doesn't want her offspring to go through that, you know, when they get older or whatever, they grow up, they might intentionally date someone darker and try to have a child by them, or they marry someone because they don't want their children to go through the same thing they went through, and vice versa. You know, vice versa. If you were dark and you got teased because of being dark, you might try it. You know,
You'll go to the other end of the spectrum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
To try to protect your child, you know, from going through the same hurt that you've gone through. You know?
It's so much to colorism if you're just joining Community Voices. Listen, if you want to get in on this conversation, please feel free to do so at 240-949-2289. We are speaking with Shannon Anderson, who is trying to give us a different perspective on and change our trajectory on colorism. She is an author, she is an educator, and a critical race and social justice researcher, and I'm so happy that she braved COVID-19 to come out and chit chat with us tonight. Make sure you guys are washing your hands as often as you possibly can. I'm gonna take a COVID-19 break and say a couple of these things. Make sure you wash your surfaces. Cough and sneeze into the crook of your elbow. Listen, they have not said that we cannot go out, but limit yourself going out. I always say wear gloves. They said don't wear gloves, or if you do, you know, double glove. I just feel like some of these these handles and doorknobs, you know, people may put stuff there. That's where my mind goes. So, you know, I want to protect my hands because I touch my face a lot.
It depends on where you go.
Well, I just don't like these metal surfaces. That's my point.
We can't wear masks at our job because we had guests complaining.
I don't mind my mask.
The one, you have a mask on, you're sick. No, I'm trying to protect
that's
myself
how I
from
agree.
you.
I agree with that.
It's not that I'm sick. I'm just trying to protect myself. But we can't.
I agree, and it's a twofold thing because they say don't wear the gloves because what if it gets a hole in it and da 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 da. But the gloves make me feel safe, just like the mask makes you feel safe. And I'm telling you, people, whatever make you feel safe, don't let nobody tell you different. Just don't go, you know, crazy. Just follow the guidelines. Right. Follow the guidelines and do what's best for you and your family. So we are speaking with Shannon, and we're going to get back to the topic of colorism. The education system has this bias. No, I want to go back to relationships. Okay. We didn't finish on relationships. Okay. How people may choose a mate based on that, and decide how they want their family if they think. But the thing is, DNA, you don't know how it's going to go, right?
That's the truth.
I've had a girl told me she can't have a child by me because I don't have straight hair, and I guess my eyes wasn't.
That's colorism. Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I mean, my family, I have one brother that has one blue eye, one brown eye. The other one has hazel eyes, and then I'm the last one.
Yeah.
I was like, to the people.
But it does kind of affect our thinking on, especially if you have, you know, I don't want to say backwards thinking, but just narrow-minded thinking.
Right, exactly.
You know, if I'm with a lighter man or woman, my children are going to be like, that child might come out with red hair, and you like, now what's going on?
Right, and the daddy's trying to check the paternity test, right? That's usually what happens. Yes, but you know what? When so race is a social construct that was created by. The categories were created by like 5 different European men over the year, like long time ago, and they're the ones that went around. They traveled, and they made the 5 categories of race, and they made the hierarchy of who was the most beautiful, and they put the Europeans at the top, and Africans at the bottom, and then they start placing attributes to them like that intelligence thing I was talking about, that beauty, and then they just start putting those attributes to them. And then we're still, you know, a lot of times today, we're still thinking that way. And
you know what makes me upset, Shannon? You know what makes me upset is that, first of all, they didn't even know about us. They found us. Right. And when they found how wonderful and extraordinary we are and what we could do with little to nothing with nature and things of that matters. They decided, not us, and then it gets ingrained in us, and now there's years of this that we must undo because it's slowly hurting the family.
Right. It is. And it really takes us as parents and people in our society and our community really building our children up no matter what features they have. You know, because like I said, people are going to break a child down, you know, as soon as you step out that door. So we have to love them up and build them up so that when they do see images and they think of that the standard of beauty is still there, European standards of beauty, and they may not look anything like that they still think they're beautiful, and they still think they're smart, and they still think that they have a crown on their head, or you know, so that they don't fall victim to what everybody else might be thinking about them. You know what I don't want us to do either is to get so far on either side of the spectrum where we're only loving up our dark-skinned sisters, or only our light-skinned sisters are binding together, and we still don't meet in the middle. Because I mean, when you look at your family, when I look at my family, we have a spectrum. Right, mine too.
We have a spectrum in our family from albino to blue black, as we, you know, and should we stop saying these words? Should we stop saying purple black? Should we stop saying blue black? Should we stop saying chocolate? Well, why? If it's darker the berry, the sweeter the juice.
Okay, so this is the thing.
Talk to me, community.
I had this conversation with a coworker, right? And shout out if she's listening. I'm not going to say the name.
Okay.
But she talked about when she was on the bus ride in D.C. and a father and a son turned to her and said, "Ooh, daddy." The little boy said, "Ooh, dad, she black. She real black." Ooh. And the dad, instead of checking the son, the dad was like, "Yeah, she real black," and start laughing at her. And she was a child, like in high school.
Oh, wow.
And so I said, you know what? We have to get to a point where that does not affect us. Like, okay, I'm beautiful, I'm black. Yes, I am black. Yes, I am black and I am beautiful. But there's those things where, why didn't the father check them, right? You know, the receiver of it was like, you know, like, oh, you know, like, you know. And then it's like, do I check somebody else's child? Because now they didn't cross the line. I got it right. She was a teenager. So you know, this is grown a man with a child, you know. So he should have checked the child. And reinforcing that she's beautiful, you know, yada, but he didn't. He decided to go along with them. And she still remembers that to this day, you know. Wow. And so those are the kind of things that, you know what, if you say I'm real black, okay, that's beautiful to me. We have to switch it.
We do have to switch it. It's a mindset change. It's a mindset click.
Exactly.
And it's a mindset switch, which will not happen overnight. But if we all take the time to try to change our language, and when we have these specific thoughts to even just change the pattern in which we behave with one another, maybe we can all make it a little brighter, right? It's Community Voices with MomoLove alongside DJ Firebone. We are speaking with none other than Shannon Anderson. We are breaking colorism down, y'all. She is changing the trajectory, and we appreciate her. Y'all, we are commercial free, but we're going to let Bones get back on the ones and twos, and when we come back, probably about 8:30, we're going to have a little bit more of Shannon, if you can still hang around for us, and we're going to finish this conversation about colorism. Download the free Ablazin Radio Pro app. I'm telling you, iPhone and Android users, none of you will be upset because you can take it every single place that you go. Log on, listen live, www.ablazinradio.com. Also, call in 240-949-2289. We're going to open the phone lines about 8:30 when we come back, all right? Big up all of yourselves, and thank you so much. Big up yourself, DJ Q Star. Thank you so much for checking in and keeping it locked right here to Community Voices each and every single Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. You know it is where entertainment lives.
Me phone jack, me no pick it up. Right now, me a live it up. That party a bucking up. Champagne just a bubble up. Me and the gal dem a cuddle up. Baby, bend over for your drink and pick it up. My line a skirt, lick it up. Right now, the raving stars. The gal dem each hand from the raving bars. Me beat them like a slaving shark. Stand wake them up like a tidal pass. Baby, nah, hide and talk. That I told the cute on your private park. Me go tell the near we can walk. Plus me don't get a bike. Me love your bikini. Eyes look dreamy. She said the vodka make she a see dreamy. People say me crazy. True me no drive easy. Me live my life mad bike make feel wheelie. A party a booking up. Champagne just a bubble up. Me and the gal them a cuddle up. Me phone jack me no pick it up. Right now me a live it up. A party a booking up. Champagne just a bubble up. Me and the gal them a cuddle up. Baby, bend over for your drink and pick it up. Me like that skirt that flick it up. Me no care who nasty up. Set me vodka with both party cup. The party but gal a tell me she want it. Me tell her say give it to me.
No nice, them a spread propaganda. When the party a done, it's the next party me gone. A buckle of Hennessy, make me get up to nine. Look me watch how the girl them a want, them a wine from dusk till dawn. The party a nice. When me said the party a big, the girl them come out at me, I go pick one fi keep. Ladies all up in a me jeep, so you know say a bitch she a rich. Alright, we party hard, and me not go me yard. Me a party till daylight come, till daylight come. Alright, when me step up me clean, and you know me no lean. Me a party till daylight come, till daylight come. Alright, Anachi Appius Anke a kick a bar. Julius 10 stars just slap with the bar. Father Paul Bill Fool is a chiss and the pill pass squad money fly past rich. The bar a get chill, promoter can ball. Alpama make a money, him can open my stall. Rodney Price I'm a real general, so you know say the link stand tall. Alright, we party hard, and me nah go me hard. Me a party till daylight come, till daylight come.
From your mention party, you know so you call me name. Me dash you me stress and go release me. If you come to party, put your hands up. You appreciate life, put your hands up. Liquor in your cup, put your hands up. Oh. From your mention party, you know so you call me name. Me dash you me stress and go release me. Chill music make me feel so free, free, free. So me never say no to the party train. Send for Syrac and the chaser. Any liquor me drink me can pay for. I can keep me mind at ease. Just every cute girl in you and get check well later. Happiness, me a deal with happiness. Can't bother with the sadness. Sadness lead to madness. Happiness, me a deal with happiness. Can't bother with the sadness. Sadness lead to madness. Music is the healing of the nation, just like the trees and the grave of King Solomon. So me a go laugh and talk and dance and drink with me team unstoppable with strong. Waitress, don't make me ask me no eyes. Arrest me and tip you because me feel so nice. Prime Minister stop fight dance all you kill me with text, but a music make we rejoice. Happiness, me a deal with happiness.
Every girl a every girl inna the dance, girl bring that 2-piece, say make me take it off. 2 a wee tip, say make we set it off. When we reach out the room, every phone a lock off. Party we a party, let's get it started. Turn it up loud, till it get this started. A party we a party, every man to a shawty. Turn it up loud, till it get this started. Money a make, money a spend. Look for me coming on a broke friend. 99 problem, girl I know one of them. If you don't know, girl a bubble, let me lend you one of them. Turn up the tune in of the speaker. The party a sweet, no we're no sweeter. The girl them a drink till the liquor creep up. And I wine till it's up and just bounce on your face. Side from across the floor is like a laser. You don't believe my eyes, I got to take my shades. Hear me no more.
Yeah, walk up. Dog, look how them girl them fat. Goosebumps. Yo, well another cup ya. Dog, me so come. Oh, now when a girl them sound like June plum. Me say look how the girl them act like June come. If you're not talking, a girl ears you too dumb. Be a girl surround when me step me shoe a ground. Them a ball, them a say yeah you alone. If me can't buy a liter, me buy a Q a rum. And if no girl a day, me a go back home. Ay, 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 party a day, me say ay, ay, ay,
come here, girl, let me kiss your pretty face. Like a baby just born, so you face out.
Send me happy
Not
now. Not even bad man can't stop me now. Take a look from me bush and shop me now. Me a live my life, that's what you know.
Wind up on my, wind up on my, wind up on my short up, boy. Wind up on my, wind up on my, wind up on my short up, boy. Take me close to your zipper, bend me right over, squeeze and slap her, and just wind up on my, wind up on my, wind up on my short up, boy. Look at my sexy, look at my act, hair done up, belly flat, red heels on, all of that. Pull up my girls to the club, we gonna shut it down. When you see we come around, wind up to the song. From a short up, shots run the town. Men dribbling, shots modeling, less talking when me walking. A short up, shots me aware. When me pass, every man just a stare. This are the new summer gear, you better notice. A short up, shots me aware. When me pass, every man just a stare. This are the new summer gear, you better notice. Wind up on my, wind up on my.
Tell her bag a lie to them want me make she cry. Yeah, but no matter what them do and them a try, none of them can shut me life. She not do nothing fi make me stress. Drop them a chat, she a the best. And when you have a woman like mine, where I want it every time, come money can't buy happiness. Yeah, she give me a wine, but I'm a chop my mind, make me feel like I'm the first time. Me know she will flip it anytime she look like a dollar kind, and she can't manage the world. She my love, yeah. Me feel like me never born with it because she grabbed me out and gone with it. I just my love, yeah. Me feel like me never born with it because she grabbed me out and gone with it. Me say me love it when you give me that, so give me every style. You got your neighbor cacailles because she hear when the bed a rock. Love it when you lay a tap me bust like when thing pop. Tell your body hot, you make me sweat like when summer drops. So wine pan the beat, me full up a lyrics, don't fit on the track. You raise your hand up to the top, you sure a one man you got. And she no talk back, she no give me chat. No too she pretty, she no idiot, nah. My love, yeah. Me feel like me never born with it because she grabbed me out and gone with it. I just
Party rock like boat, and we not support no dry throat. So what we do? Empty the bar, empty the bar, empty the bar, empty the bar. Yeah, the girl them a wine and catch, and we no want none of them stop. So what we do? Empty the bar, empty the bar, empty the bar, empty the bar. Watch out now, bar empty. Me rollin' with my team, so we not the party a star plenty. Me treat the liquor like people, so me no trust none. Money run, nobody fit torment with. How we no carry bad mind, go we party. We not grudgeful, we not envy. Party loud, when me looking at the crowd. Me see young, me see old, middle age, half century. Black party and everything live. We not rave and go drink and drive. Some money chop in a corner one side. When your girl a tackle with no offside. We not bring back buckle from party. Only thing we bring back a receipt. And we not go party for show off, but all we think loud, everybody can see it. The party rock like goat.
Yeah, y'all them send me clean like the bill of hell. It's like a whiskey, them ready for blowing it. You know why? Because me ever lean. Me ever clean. Me ever. When me touch the street, me never in a way you in a. Me ever clean. You don't see a Gucci me in a. Me ever clean. You don't see a Louis V them ya. Me ever clean. Make yourself when me try. Me never clean. Me never in a way you in a. Me ever clean. You know me don't see and go on. Me ever clean. White sky when me in a. Me ever clean. Make yourself when me try. Me ever clean. Me never lay. When the dancer king talk about flossing thing. In a dancer thing me a the flossing king. I bend Zambi my what me bring. And by the Range Rover and the Angel doing. A Phantom and Bentley man driving foreign. Me introduce NEC and the Red Bull thing. Why some boy have flask in it and a drink Heineken. Them can't stop me swagger so them can't style me thing. And who first say a girl and go pretty brown in? Who first the ghost and change mama living for me in the 90s and pay top car. Me never in a way you in a. Me ever clear. Me no see a Gucci me in a. Me ever clear. Me no see a Louis V them ya. Me ever clear. The Q's everywhere me try. Me ever clear. Me never in a way you in a. Me ever clear. In a me Dolce and Gabbana. Me ever clear. White skies where me in a. Me ever clear. The Q's everywhere me try. Me ever clear. Me never late. Shop at New York, yeah, but not where you shop. You shop at Queens, Brooklyn, now, I'm a nigga. Where you waiting, down? Where you find rock, go back, it's a song.
Everybody goes now, just pay the money, the money. What's in my cup stays in my cup. In my cup stays in my cup. My drink is in my cup. In my cup is in my cup. My cup. My cup. My cup. What's in my cup stays in my cup. I got my swag up high, gonna point it till I touch the sky. So I got the air kind of Henny on the table, and I'm full of my cup from a table. My drink kinda got me unstable. I'ma need a driver because I'm unable. Thank God I left my keys with cable. I'm feeling a little bit fever. Stays in my cup.
See, Miami, Toronto, York, LA, California, all my Jamaican people, what's the difference?
It's
New York City.
It's dancing, it's moving, it's electric. Little kids, hot girls request this. Come on now, everybody catch this. DJ select this, skip to my loop. Oh, skip to my loop. Yeah, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop. Yeah. We're dancing from evening till sunlight. This dance is so nice. Glide left, slide right. And just do it, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop. Yeah, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop. Yeah.
Guess who's here? The dancing princess appear. Everybody sing around, go watch chicken and beer. I swear, Jim get drunk and don't care. Then you skip to my low with your hand in the ear. Gee whiz, this a go on every dance all mix. Guess who we catch a skip now? The great Jack Rabbit. So cool, everybody join dancing school. Ding dong ravers at the dance stool.
It's dancing, it's moving, it's electric. Little kids, hot girls request this. Come on now, everybody catch this. DJ select this, skip to my loop. Oh, skip to my loop. Yeah, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop. Yeah. We're dancing from evening till sunlight. This dance is so nice. Blind left, slide right, and just do it. Skip to my loop. Oh, skip to my loop. Yeah, skip to my loop. Skip to my loop. Yeah.
In another one, you easy fi catch. Swing left to right, but don't lose your step. Dance off your shoes and buy a new pair. Watch your nation, watch you now get here.
I'm talking about London, Dubai, yo, Costa Rica, Johannesburg, Australia, yo, Beijing, stand now, this is dancing.
It's dancing, it's moving, it's electric. Little kids, hot girls request this. So now everybody
Follow me now. The Almighty protect me. The Lord will not forsake me. Jannah, don't make me suffer by the hands of the wicked. So when we them are wicked, we no care if they hate me. No, our God not forsake me. Jannah, don't make me suffer by the hands of the wicked. Follow me now. Me say them want to be things them know them can't. Can't do it nothing cause enough psalms to chant. The Lord's my shepherd, I shall not want. Jamaica reap the blessing cause of good deeds we plant. He maketh me to lie by the still waters. Just protect me from all perils and disasters. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, no time in no fret cause Jah will protect me. But the Lord will not forsake me. Jannah, don't make me suffer by the hands of the wicked. So when the no, Yahweh won't forsake me.
Come here, girl, let me kiss your pretty face.
for my hands
like a baby just born, so you face off. Saw you from across the floor, it's like a desert.
When we say who got blessed,
to take my shelter. Hear me no more,
follow me now.
righteous is sending love down the way like a flood. And I say DJ Bones, come with the voices, you know what I mean?
Don't make me suffer by the hands of the wicked. So indeed, them are wicked. We no care if they hate me. No, our God now forsake me. Jana, don't make me suffer by the hands of the wicked. Follow me now. Me say them want to be better things, them know them can't. Can't do it nothing cause enough psalms to chant. The Lord's my shepherd, I shall not want. Jamaica reap the blessing cause a good deeds we plant. He maketh me to lie by the still waters. Jah protect me from all perils and disasters. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, no time in no fret cause Jah will protect me. Oh, the Lord will not forsake me.
Stop me though, I know I'm on the go, yeah. Don't be all coming up off the show, yeah. I'm so special, so special. That's why I'm looking for the fire special. Boy, I bring it together and I want to chase like petal. Tanja, I'm so special. Tell them enough fear, too fierce expression. That for don't see more can't chase nor they tell me them shot. And I say them want me head pan black. I'm on the fire, too, it's bread pan, that's better. Help poor people with them bed pan black. SSC, a dirty heart, you are go dead from that. Now them a say me mark for that and each time walk them say me walk for that. You see it, them lock me down and me can't forget. God Jehovah did a guide me, say me not regret. Yeah, I'm so special.
Oh, community, you are so special. It is a happy hump day Wednesday. Thank you so much, DJ Firebone, for that wonderful 592 sound mix. We're back. We're back together again. DJ Firebone and MomoLove.
What's up, community? I missed y'all last week, man.
Yes, you know I don't like when you're away. It just feels like it's so long before we see each other. And
I know, right?
This COVID-19 almost had us down.
I know,
they
right?
almost had us out. Big up DJ Ablaze for opening up the studio.
To keep it 90s,
oh, we appreciate that. Make us have this COVID-19 release. You know,
for sure.
Make us feel good about the situation as best we can. You know, I'm dying to know what you guys are doing these last 3 days. I saw a hilarious video of this couple. They were, day one, and they were all lovey-dovey, all happy with each other. And, ooh, babe this and ooh, babe that. And by day 5, they was like, listen, you got to go, okay? So I hope y'all are not to that point yet, right? If you are in a relationship, you have a family, I hope you guys are taking this time to learn some new things about each other, learn some arts and crafts or do some arts and crafts, take some time to really have some family time, some quality time, and check on your single girlfriends and your single guy friends. They all need love too. Just make sure that they are all doing okay, and always make sure you keep in contact or keep your loved ones, your elderly parents and grandparents in your thoughts and prayers. I'm just all over myself. Let me get it together. I'm so excited about tonight. We're talking about colorism here with Shannon Anderson. She is an author, an educator, critical race and social justice researcher. And, we're talking about colorism, light skin versus dark skin. Does it still exist? It kind of starts, it's kind of ingrained in us from early childhood, almost not in a threatening way, not in a mandatory way, but certain things we say to one another, certain things our grandparents or our great grandparents said. Look at that little chocolate baby. Oh, she's so pretty for a little light-skinned baby. Even how you decide to have relationships. Even myself, I think when I was in 7th or 8th grade, all the light-skinned boys was the rage.
Yeah, the barge.
Elder Barge. Stop playing. Elder Barge is my boyfriend. All the light-skinned boys. Big up yourself, Mickey. He was my first light-skinned boy crush.
Mickey.
Okay. Yes.
Mickey getting a shout out, huh?
Yes, I shout out people. Okay. But it's true. I mean, we have these biases. as Bones pointed out earlier, it wasn't anything that may have been instilled in him, but his mental thing was a light-skinned girl was prettier. And myself, too, I thought a light-skinned guy was the rage. All of us girls thought a light-skinned boy with good hair, that was the thing. Not because it was ingrained in me, because I had the gamut in my family. We have an albino to a very dark hued people in my family. So that wasn't the issue, I think. Like Bone says, maybe it was more mental.
So a lot of the media perpetuates that, and I think if you remember like the Prince times and the Apollonia and Vanity and all that type, and that was the kind of standard of beauty back in the day. I'm probably aging myself, that was like the 80s, right? And so it was everybody wanted Apollonia or Vanity, so that was the look, and everybody wanted somebody who looked like Prince, and so then it got to be like, or DeBarge or, whoever, I'll be sure, that type of stuff. So all those, and you really didn't see a lot of dark-skinned women held up as beautiful in any of their little networks, or any people they put on and stuff. And so I think over the years, it still just keeps getting reinforced and reinforced. For example, and it starts early. I remember my husband, he was up in the daycare setting one time, and he saw a mom. It was during the summertime, and a mom and her daughter was walking in, and someone said, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "I didn't even recognize you. She got really dark." And her mom and the little girl, instead of saying something about how beautiful the dark skin was, her mom said, "Yeah, I've been trying to keep her and her brother out in the sun."
Oh my!
And and they're like 3 or 4 year olds, and this was just last summer.
Yeah.
So those kind of things that kids are hearing so young, and they're not maybe saying it directly to the child, but they're hearing their mom say that. And so what do they think? Well, they start thinking that very young, and those little girls start to get older, and they start thinking that, and they see the media, they see everything else is perpetuating that same thing, and it gets internalized.
And let's talk about media for a minute, because I mean, we television, movies. First of all, our image was blackface,
right?
Initially, okay, and then even when people of color did begin to have roles, there were one of two things: maid,
right,
or the leading lady, the Dorothy Dandridge, and you could see the disparity.
Oh my goodness, it was back in that day. It was a huge difference. Mamie was dark and heavy, right?
Yeah,
and then the beautiful person was Dorothy Dandridge or Lena Horne or those type of people. And then, but as someone that had a browner hue wanted to get a role, they had to be the maid, the cleaner, the butler for the men, that kind of thing. So you never saw really a light-skinned man playing a butler.
Even best friends in shows,
right? Yeah,
the leading lady,
yes,
would be of the lighter hue.
Yes. The love interest, so you saw it in Martin Lawrence's show, and the best friend was the dark, loud one that couldn't get a man, that he was always talking about the way she looked, and the horse hair, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then the Marlon show, still to this day, that's something that still goes on. It's still on. I don't know if it's on Disney or something, but it's the Marlon Wayans show.
Yeah.
The youngest guy, so the youngest brother.
Yeah.
So,
he every show he has that same woman.
Yes, and so she's the love interest, and then there's the brown skin best friend that still can't get a man who's joking on her. All types
calling
of
her all kinds
of names. So
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, the sister.
Yes, Fresh Prince of
and then they changed it. Yeah,
dark to light.
Yeah. So we keep seeing these in the media. And when a little girl was looking at it, they're like, okay, well, that's supposed to how I act, or this is what, that marriage material is the lighter skinned woman, So like I said, little kids start internalizing that, and we take that with us as we get older.
Yeah. Now we're seeing a shift
in
a lot of theatrical dramas, comedies. We're seeing a big shift where the dads look like dads. They got bellies, they got beards, they got mustaches, they have locks.
Yes.
We're seeing a shift where the moms are, curly haired and, but then devil's advocate, here I come. There feels like they're showing a lot of mixed.
Mixed race, yeah.
A lot
hair.
of mixed race.
Mm-hmm.
So now everybody has curly hair.
Yes.
And there's a
that's the happy medium.
A white mom, a white dad, and a black mom,
yes,
and
exactly.
the kids have curly hair. How do you think that's shaping, or what is that? What kind of message that's sending?
They're playing it safe. I think a lot of times, okay, we're not going to go too far one way, but let's give them something in the middle.
You think we'll all be one race?
You know,
I mean, that's what it feels like they're advertising.
You know, it's a possibility. You know, because some people, some people are you know, their look is ambiguous. You know, you can't tell what they are nowadays. You know, like that person.
You think we're gonna go to a one race? Was that what you was gonna comment on, Bones?
I mean, me personally, I've always been saying we one race already. It's only been one
the
race.
Human race.
The human
Yes,
race.
yes,
Until like the higher ups, the anarchy, the older generation, the bigger up, people in power start addressing it as that and stop looking at color. We're gonna always have this.
Well, so again, the race is a social construct, and it was created by some European men that said these are the races. These are the different. Yeah.
So we have another meeting like that, or we just say
Mm-hmm.
kick that out of the door. It's gonna always be like this.
Yeah, but thank goodness the Black Panther and Steve Harvey's one where the whole cast was brown skinned, dark skinned women, you know. And
Think like a lady. Think like a lady.
Yeah,
act like a man,
that
something
one.
like that.
Yeah.
Act like a lady, think like a man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole cast.
Yeah. And then, you know, there's
except for the bald head dude, he was like the darkest one.
Okay, yeah.
What's
I was
his
talking
name?
about the women for
He
the most
was,
part. Yeah.
Forgot his name. He
Yeah.
was
I forgot. I know who you're talking about. Yeah. So yes, there. And even this the show that I love to watch because it's such a nice love story. Cherish the Day.
Cherish the Day.
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought about the dynamics of that one. You got the light skinned man with a light skinned mom, and she's snobby and hating on the dark skinned woman, and she comes from like Compton or something, and you know, and they're trying to mix the families up. And I'm like, how have we flipped that? What if we said it was this light skinned family that came from Compton and we had like gang members and all? It was all these stereotypes were perpetuated in this show. And so the light skinned guy has light skinned mom. Her husband was dark skinned though, and they're well off, and they're polished and all that kind of stuff. But the mom was a snooty light skinned woman, you know. And then he finds his love in a dark skinned natural woman, but she comes from Compton, and her uncle raised her because her mom died, and they're gang affiliated, and so that still perpetuates these stereotypes. And then when the mom meets her, you know, she's snobby to her, you know, and I'm like, this is still saying the same thing.
Colorism kind of equals or blends into classism still to this day. How do you feel about we were talking about the social economics of it, or the societal beliefs within colorism. What about how we treat one another based on these biases?
You know, I don't think it, you know, I don't know if it stops people from being friends with people because of skin color. It might. I see a lot perpetuated in like high schools where there's cliques and, you know, and that kind of thing. But, you know, you also see like the social part of it, like on TV, things like Basketball Wives, when they're, you know, or Love and Hip Hop. I think and all those kind of things, they've been talking about colorism a little bit on that. But that social clique, you know, they kind of ostracized the dark skinned girl, and you know, and the dark skinned girl was saying it was colorism because she wasn't in the clique.
And so, how much of it is colorism, and how much of it is just Mean Girl?
So Mean Girl, that can drive Mean Girl. Okay, so that can drive Mean Girl definitely, because you know, it can form cliques, and usually when a clique is formed, it's because of a reason. A clique is formed because of likeness.
Okay,
you know, and if you're not in that likeness, then you might be bullying or treating other people differently because you're not in that likeness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're just joining Community Voices with MomoLove alongside DJ Firebone, we are speaking with author, educator, critical race and social justice researcher Shannon Anderson. What were you going to say, Bones?
No, I was going to say there was two shows, as much as I thought it would portray a whole lot of blackness. When you look at it in Ladies, they were light skinned too.
Who's that? What's that?
The Cosby Show.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other one with Dwayne and Whitney? With the college.
The college.
Yes.
Another world.
And those were the a different world.
A different world.
And those were like the two blackest of blackest shows.
My black card revoked.
And now that you think about it,
I know, right?
both Ladies were of the lighter color.
What happened to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? I remember the first
Yeah,
wife.
Iron Fib. She was
dark.
She
at
went
first,
from
right?
she went from blacker than tar to
But see, this is
lighter
where we
than
get
a,
into this controversial because she had contractual issues. Okay, that was the real deal.
Forget the personal issue. They outside of that was one of the reasons.
You think they should have got another dark skin?
Including Family Matters.
Let me ask you this about
the
media.
aunt, the mom, the daughter,
all of
the
them
niece,
were brown.
they all was dark when the show started.
Yeah.
And they all went brown by the time the show was ended.
Oh.
I don't remember
that one.
I thought they were all the same.
Not a daughter too.
I thought they were. I thought they only changed the one daughter. But let me ask you, Shannon, about media. How we were talking a little bit about it. How it's kind of changing. How the look is changing back to or changing to a safe place. Do you think media? Do you think advertisers are even focusing on black people per se?
Oh yeah, because we spend a lot of money. We have a lot of dollar to we spend money, and they want to make sure that they're not ostracizing. So in their thought they're saying, hey, I'm giving them something,
and we'll make it safe.
Exactly.
We'll make the mothers curly haired.
Yes.
We'll have interracial. We'll have all of these things to make everybody feel included.
I'm sure it's making a lot of people angry about that certain people angry with the mixed stuff, But I think they're thinking it's best of both worlds. Kind of, we got the white dad, and black mom. Got
See, and me, I feel like it's an advertising. Like you said, we'll just do this so that it pleases everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have a little bit of everything in here.
And that I do think there's certain demographics of people that makes angry as well when they see that.
Shannon Anderson here on Community Voices talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my fault. I was watching a documentary the other day. They Gotta Have Us.
Oh yeah. I started watching that.
Very interesting.
And that's part of the whole colorism spectrum, right?
Where they thought, we got one black person.
That's
might not
enough.
be that dark,
Yeah.
but we have a black person.
They're safe. They're safe.
And it makes us safe. It makes us feel like it's okay. It makes us feel like, they gave us somebody so we're winning now.
Yeah,
we're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
We're in there.
Well, a lot of times now there's always that one token person. You got to get the minority in an episode, and so it might be somebody from LGBTQ, and there might be a black person, might be an Asian person. They're trying to get somebody in on a TV show, so that we're represented.
Yeah.
But the ones they're trying to plug in, like you said, is from the alphabet people. I'm like, nah, can we just have a black person?
Well, everybody has to be included, and there has to be diversity.
But why they got to be included in just the black people? Like every show, literally, I've seen since before and starting with Empire. When they go to the alphabet people, it's either the black woman or the black guy. That's what they want to keep giving us. Like, can we just have somebody? We ain't gonna knock y'all. How about y'all just make y'all own show? You had Queer Eye
because diversity has to be included. However, I like to stick on colorism and how that has affected us as a people. Yes. Because how it affects us as a people is how others will look at us, right? How we treat one another, whether you're light skin or dark skin or caramel or I'm in the spectrum. Back in the days, our ancestors had to deal with the paper bag test.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And if you millennials, I'm sure, don't know anything about the paper bag test. If you have a grandmother or grandfather that's over the age of 70, I urge you to ask them what the paper bag test is. And what the paper bag test is that if you were darker than a brown paper bag, you were not allowed to sit at their counters or to sit at their seats
or churches
or join any kind of social club. So, you know, where we have come a long way, the infighting of colorism within ourselves, it what just is what disturbs me. I think we should go back to how they used to pick women out.
Well, let me talk.
But then
about
again,
that.
I might.
So,
but then again, I still be single.
Wait. So one thing I want to talk about.
I
is
gotta
like
get my
DC,
squats up.
DC. Remember, there was one school. I think it was Dunbar, and another school that one school was for lighter skin, and one school was for darker skin.
Wow.
Dunbar was one, and I can't remember. I should have written it down. And so that was separated, and you really could not. And there's a book out that I actually got. It's very old, and someone was doing research on it. And so she studied the what was going on in DC back in the day. And so so the schools were separated by complexion and course class status. And those students that went to the lighter skin school were basically a shoo-in to go to Howard. So Howard had a lot of it back in the day, and I'm sorry if I'm offending any HU people. My husband graduated from Howard, but Howard was at one time they wanted a picture to be sent in, and so I think the president was like, no, that's not because we want to see the color complexion, but there was a very big segregation of those kids that came from one school in DC that basically were able to were a shoe-in for Howard, get accepted to Howard, and then that clicked. And if you look in this book, it has all the beauty queens, right? All the beauty queens, basically, and all these people that voted said they voted because they wanted the queen to look more Caucasian, basically, and that's how they chose their queens.
Yeah, I just want us to get a tighter grip on this thing, right?
Yeah.
Because we're quick to point out racism. We're quick to say, oh, Gucci made this sweater that has a black face with red lips, you know, and we fought so hard to get to where we are right now, right? Which is not far enough, in my opinion. But I just feel like we as a nation, as a people, we need to do better with how we treat one another.
Right.
Colorism and classism.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I do understand that once you get to a certain level in what society deems as successful, opposed to what you deem as successful, we move away. We change our demographics, right? We change who we deal with. We change the way we speak. But even in that, we get into this, oh, you sound like a white person because you use proper diction.
Right. And anything, and that goes back to anything closer to European standards is right. Anything further away from European standards is considered wrong.
All right, but then you have the side of the spectrum which says, and oh my God, of course we're getting all into this, and Wine Up Wednesdays is coming right up next with Lex Les and Audrey on sports. We have oh gosh, we have this thing we got to talk about, but we got to end the show soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I made this joke, and basically I'm going to be single all my life if this is true. Shannon, tell the story.
Okay, so in some of my research, there was the European men that I was speaking of when they were going around from continent to continent. They were observing the characteristics of different people, right? And so they said that the men in Africa chose their wives. They would line them up, and whoever had the biggest derriere was their wife. And I was like, well, that's one thing that has not changed. I don't know about lining them up, but we've held on to the booty love,
Goodness gracious.
So that's
I guess I'll still be single. Well, I have some time during this COVID-19 to get my squats on, okay? When y'all see me emerge.
Not everyone. Not everyone is
when
on
y'all
it.
see me emerge, I think I'm like, dang, girl, where you been?
Right.
Not everyone is on it. Don't be fooled, community. Not all man is on the booty.
Well, I'm glad we only scratched the surface of this topic, because colorism is very big in our community. And, you know, we it's something that's been ingrained in us, you know, for a very long time, since our ancestors were taken from their homeland and told that they were less than what they are. Since the separation on plantations of the darker skin and the lighter skin, and how this affects us in our families with our great grandmothers and our grandmothers saying, you know, I love that little light skinned baby, or you cute for a dark skinned girl. And then how we go to school, and you know, I don't want to discount my brothers, because our brothers that are of the darker hue, they had to go through certain things, you know, and we kind of have it from society, but we also put it on ourselves. And I think what happens is that it keeps us from a lot of things. It keeps us from attaining a lot of altitudes in our lives, education, broadening our social spectrum, obtaining homes, and traveling. Traveling is something that really broadens your horizon about how people are treated and how you should treat people. So I say all of that to say a whole bunch, but I really wish that we could get a tighter grip on how we treat one another.
And this is not a versus. This is education. It's not light skin gets dark skin get light skin. It is us coming together to understand it, and really what the root causes were. Yeah. And why we think this way, and why, why we think that we got here. Yeah. And so that's what it's a learning experience for all of us. Yes. And it is a way to unite us. And that's continued learning. Exactly. And so I don't want us to come out, thinking that we're in a boxing ring. It's not that at all. We have to start changing the trajectory of our thinking.
I have like 1.5 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to tell the people on colorism, and where can they follow you for more information?
Oh, sure. Yes. So on Instagram, I am changing the trajectory. I think I'm 2018. I'm also have on Colorism EDU on Instagram. And if you have a story to tell, and I'm doing my research, and I'll be surveying and doing interviews, if you're interested, go on colorismed.com, and you can fill out the survey, or you can email me at info@colorismed.com. So that's colorismed.com. You can email me and say you have a story to tell, or go on the website and just fill out the form.
And that information will go into your doctorate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're looking for people to interview and to tell a story about any effects of colorism on them and their lives, or their family.
Yes.
And give that email one more time.
Email is info@colorismed.com. Yes. And it doesn't have to be a dark skin story, or like it could be any color, a story about that, growing up.
Yeah. Well, we thank you so much. Wait a minute. Now you got to give a plug out for your books,
for
the baby
for
books.
Yes.
Real quick.
Yes.
Come on, real quick.
So my
Shannon is an author and an educator and a critical race and social justice researcher, and her children and her. Go ahead.
Yes. So this has nothing to do about colorism. The first book was with my
shameless
daughter,
plugs.
Savannah Sky, and she wrote My Dad's a Rock Star, and it basically talks about her relationship with her dad. She thinks he's a rock star. She looks up to him, and so and then the next one, which should be on Amazon next week, but you can also go on changingthetrajectory.com and in order from me directly, and that one is the Adventures of Dakota Joe and his best friend Tommy the Toad. And so we wrote those. So those are what they wanted to talk about. So that's what we wrote with them. And all the rest of the books are going to be stuff I want to talk about. I gave my kids a shot, and so they co-authored, and we're good.
Listen, and during this time, you'll do two things. You'll support a small business by purchasing not one but both of the books, and you'll also have another reason to have family time. Okay, and encourage your children to write books, or you write books together. All right. So we want to again thank Miss Shannon Anderson. She is an author, educator, and critical race and social justice researcher. If you want to give her your story on colorism, make sure you follow her at Changing the Trajectory 2018. Changing the Trajectory. Try to say that 5 times. 2018, and we'll make sure we put more information up there. All right, guys, COVID-19 is serious. Make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you cough and sneeze into your elbow. Listen, try not to touch your face. It's so hard for me because I love to touch my face. Stay about 3 to 6 feet away from each other. Practice this social distancing. CDC and the World Health Organization, these are their guidelines, but follow them. All right, period, point blank.
Yeah.
If you are feeling sick, stay the freak home. All right. Listen, if you go out and about, do what you feel is best to protect yourself. If you have to wear gloves, or if you want to wear gloves, because I will be wearing my gloves. I have my gloves. Wear your gloves, wear your mask, have your Lysol. Big up Audrey. She got her Lysol, she got her spray, she got everything. She's ready and on point.
Don't be like the woman at the bus stop.
Don't be like any of those people. Protect yourselves. And I can't wait to hear all of the fun things that you guys are learning and doing with your family. Check on your single friends. They need love too. Don't leave your single friends out. Give them a call. The one thing that I'm excited about is that maybe we'll pick up the phone and call each other more often. Listen, community.
Not gonna happen.
Don't do that. Don't do that. MLK said our lives end the day we begin to be silent about things that matter. And I say, remember to use your voice, community. And we are out.
Baby, now I've got the flow.
Big up Frederick Asante. Ghana standing proud with my Team Enlightenment shirt. Thank you, friend.
All those times you said that I love you. You lied to me. Yes, I tried. Yes, I tried. You lied to me. Even though you would, I died for you. You lied to me. Yes, I cried. Yes, I cried. Turn off the light. It is. Turn off the light. Come on. Turn off the light. Oh my God. Know that I'm in my here I am. Turn off the light. Once again. Turn off the light. Top of the world. Turn off the light. Watch my flow. Know that I'm in here I go. So I'm back up in my game. Up and slow. Running things to keep my swing. Letting all the people know that I'm back to run the show. Cause what you did, you know was wrong. And all the nasty things you've done. So baby, listen carefully while I sing my comeback song. You lied to me. You said you never cared for me. But you did. But you did.
And Jacqueline and I'm a palm. And anything left it stop. Them they yell me a charm after my flex and Marianda. And Jacqueline and I'm a palm. And anything left it stop. Them they yell me a charm after me na each me na stitch when me a move. Girl a feel one when me a grind and me a groove. Them a feel well strong when me a get in a the mood. You never know a bad man can go along so crude. Girl get astonished when she find out my plan. Can't bear food, mommy can plow up our land. When me and me guineas and me might well strong. Ah, goody goody girl go sing me song. When I'm on hip hop straight through Sophia Alley. And Marie little lens me go rally. The little face they will live round a barry. Love up me metric make her know she sorry. Flex and Marianda. And Jacqueline and I'm a palm. And anything left is gone. Then they yell at me.
I'm the only one position my girlfriend. And I'm making his own people not drink no right time. I'm the one position my girlfriend. I'm me name Jacka, she name Jilla. Said you want to play Daniel Fanil.
Wind Up Wednesday is next. Keep it locked right here. Don't you go anywhere. It's Ablazin Radio, where entertainment lives.
Listen, that's all I can go on with. That not work, you know. I'm gonna try something better than that. All you want is feel up. Touch up me body and tease up.
2 weeks. 2 weeks of feel up. Quarantine style. Single people, We got 24 hours.
No wish like God, Kelly, you better can fly. Or be a better rhythm than Robbie and Sly. Nobody try, you miss a cry. Well, me really wanna know where you can supply. Any type of eye, it can purify. Nobody takes you up and now you hot high. Remember me, no